Hey there YouTube, AJ here. And today I got a little side project for my hot rod. I picked up this aluminum boat steering wheel that I think I want to try to use on the rod. One of the nice things is it's tapered and keyed like the Model A steering column. So that'll be an easier adaptation than some of my other wheels. I like the look of it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but right here there was some bare aluminum showing. I kind of polished it up. I think it'll polish up really nice. But before I can do that, I need to strip all the paint off of it. It's got several coats. It's got yellows, oranges, blues, grays. It's got all kinds of paint on it. Fortunately, it doesn't look really thick, so I think it'll come off really well. I could go at this, with abrasive and stuff, try to do that, but I want to try to minimize like the sanding on the wheel itself. So what I'm going to try is something I've seen done. I don't know how well it works. Kind of want to find out for myself. So what I've got here is cleaning vinegar again. I'm going to take some of that, pour it in a cup that I can heat. You're supposed to heat the vinegar up to enhance the reaction of the stripping. When you heat it, you're supposed to get it up to, get it hot but not boiling. You can do this multiple ways. You can put it in a glass container and microwave it, put it on a stove. But being as I'm out in the garage, I'm going to go at it this way. Alright. Okay, that's warm, not hot. Then basically you're supposed to just, brush it on the paint you want to remove. I'm not hoping for like a miracle and all the paint just to come right off. But I think the idea is just to soften the paint so it comes off easier. But we're going to see what happens one way or the other here. Alright, I guess I got it coated good enough. I guess now we just let it sit for about 15 minutes or so, see what happens. Alright, so it's been 15 minutes. I see no obvious like paint running off or bubbles or blisters, anything like that. It does look like it's smearing a little bit when I do use the brush on it. Result wasn't supposed to be paint just blistering and running off of it. It's supposed to soften the paints to make it easier to remove. And again, we're not looking at harsh chemical cleaners that are, not easy to dispose of properly or bad for your health. This is, just a pretty benign substance, cleaning vinegar. It is slightly acidic, which is why it softens the paint. But, it's much better for you and the environment. So let's see how easy it is to get the paint off now. Alright, so what I'm using here, I have a plastic paint scraper, metal paint scraper, Scotch-Brite pad, and some coarse steel wool. Let's start with the plastic paint scraper. Some of the places are chipping a little bit with it. It's not coming off in sheets or anything, so that's not encouraging. Yeah, that's not working. Alright, let's up it to a metal paint scraper. chipping up the paint in places, but I'm also worried about this carving into the aluminum and damaging it. It is scraping paint off with relatively low effort, but I still could see this being a long process. Alright, Scotch Brite pad. Again, nothing. I'm thinking maybe if I could just soak it in vinegar, that might work, longer, rather than just have it sit on it. Alright, coarse steel wool. Well, I can tell you this. While it does seem to soften the paint some, as a miracle paint stripper, I wouldn't recommend it. I think that maybe, if you could just soak the whole thing in a tub of vinegar, of the cleaning vinegar, that might, over a day or more, I think that would definitely soften the paint to where it would come off a lot easier. And while some of the paint is coming off, it's still got a long way to go. Yeah. Kind of a bust. Disappointed. I mean, paint definitely came off. I've got gray paint all over me now. But it definitely isn't coming off as easy as I hoped it would. Alright, so I gave up on the vinegar. I don't feel it was going to get there. I've got some Safe Erase paint remover here. It's supposed to be good for metal. I can't find anything saying not to use it on aluminum. But you're supposed to put it on, wait an hour, and to do that on a test site, I don't know, I don't want to wait an hour just to find out if I can use it. So, I'm just going to rush in and go ahead and slather her up. This stuff is a gel that hangs onto the surfaces better versus running liquid. I guess now we wait. Alright, so you can see that the real deal paint stripper here is the Safe Erase. It's actually bubbling up the paint, and seems to be working much better than the DIY cheap solution. So let's see what we can do to remove this now. Since this stuff isn't as gentle on the human or the environment, that's nice. Well, some of it's lifting right off. Definitely better progress already than previously with the vinegar. It's not getting down to the bottom, to the metal right away where there's multiple layers. That's not good. It's funny, it doesn't seem to be working on the blue very well. The yellow is coming off real easy. The orange is coming off pretty well. There we go. With the metal scraper, the blue's coming off a little easier. Just have to be really careful. I don't want to gouge the aluminum. Really wish I could just wire wheel this thing. May have ruined my gasket scraper. Well, you can see you got a lot of it off. You can see some of the places where paint was thicker, right in here, back side of the wheel there. There's still some. The little nubs on the back make it hard to clean. I think we're ready for another application. Gotta go back and let this sit again on the spots that are left. Hopefully we'll get it all. All right, hopefully that'll get it this time. Come back in an hour. Well, it's been another hour. Let's see if we can get some more of this paint off. And the blue still fights me. It's coming, but apparently blue is the color you want if you want your paint to last. It's nothing worse than scraping some off to find another layer. Different color. I would say the majority is off now, or very close to being off. We're in the high 90 percentages now of being paint removed, which is good. All right. Just grabbed it by the goopy end. All right, I think I'm ready to go wash this off and then dry it, and we'll come back and attack it with some various grades of steel wool. Try to get some shine to this. There's still going to be a few spots I'm going to have to get by hand. Okay, so here we are. Got most of the paint off. There's a few little tiny spots here and there I still gotta get. I'll get that with those when I go to clean it up to try to polish it here. So that stuff, Safe Erase works pretty good. Took a couple tries to get some of the stuff under deeper layers. I don't know if you can see, there's still a little bit of paint there. Yeah, but yeah, that should come off with the steel wool as I try to buff this up. Not bad. Starting to clean it up. I'm sure somebody out there actually knows what they're doing with aluminum. Is probably thinking, "What am I doing with steel wool?" I don't know. It's just the way I'm attacking it. I don't know what I'm doing. Right now, I'm just trying to clean it. There's a lot of like grayish stains on it. Probably why they painted it in the first place. I figure if I can get it semi-clean looking, semi-good looking, then I can start using polish on it. It's kind of chewed up a little bit right there on that rim, so I might have to actually sand that. I'm trying to get the last of the paint off of it too. I don't know if you can see it on camera. There's kind of like a mottled look to it. Where it's got like dark and light stuff. I got to figure out how to get that out. Right now I'm just kind of experimenting as I go. Yeah, none of this is getting the grayness out of it. Definitely not as quick as I would like it to either. Every time I think I got all the paint, I find more. Well, I think I got it like 80% of the way there. All the paint's off of it, or it's mostly smooth. It's kind of shiny. It's got this gray mottled tone to it. So I think the next step is for me to take a break, go do some research, and figure out how to take it that last 20% to make it actually shiny, shiny, shiny. Because I have an idea what I want to do with this. Okay, so now that we got all the paint off of it, We're going to try to clean it up, get rid of some of this gray modeling. What we're going to use to do that, WD-40, a Scotch-Brite pad. Ooh, I'm running low on WD-40. This might take a few go-arounds. Alright, so I went in and washed it with a degreasing dishwashing soap. It's still not looking great yet, but it's getting better. You can see it's still got some of that black in there. It's going to take some while to get out. I'm going to go ahead and skip a step here and try something to see if I can get that out. Ran down to the local auto parts store, grabbed me a can of Mother's Mag Polish, last one they had on the shelf. Bought it, got it home, was getting ready to open it, and I noticed it's cracked and split. So before we use it, got to do a little repair on this with some duct tape. Be right back. The Mother's directions says to back and forth in the same direction, don't go circular. And it says to rub polish until black smudges appear. Don't let the polish dry. All stuff you can read on the can or the website. And then eventually, before it dries, you wipe it off with clean, dry towel. It's getting there slowly. Sadly, the backside looks better than the front. See if you can see. It's looking better. I'm liking it. Not buffed up yet, but it's getting there. It's nice. I think in the end, all I'm really looking for today is proof of concept of what I want to do with this wheel. Like I said, I think I am going to use it on my hot rod. The one thing I'm not sure about though is it's only like 15.5 inches in diameter. So I'm worried about it, whether or not that's big enough for the steering. Old cars, if you ever notice, they have big steering wheels. It's not for looks or style. It's to give mechanical leverage to steer with manual steering boxes. So, going with a smaller steering wheel, it's going to take a lot more steering effort. But I think, well, I'll be okay with that. But that's not the end goal I've got with this steering wheel. Although I am happy to run it as is, just the bare aluminum. I think it's cool looking. It'll be nice and shiny. I think it might get hot sitting in the sun, so that might be an issue. But yeah, if it comes down to it, I will run it just bare. However, it's also kind of thin around the grip area. So I kind of might like to have a steering wheel that has a little more meat to it. So I have this idea, and that idea is based on the gear shift knob I'm planning on running. And that gear shift knob has an aluminum core to where it's threaded in for the gear shift lever, and that aluminum core is encased in orange resin with metal flake in it. Anyway, that's the gear shift knob I'm planning on running. So my thought process is, if I shine this aluminum wheel up, can I take and mold an orange resin metal flake ring around the outer rim that would both increase the diameter a little bit, maybe by 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, and keep it cool in the summer to the touch, and it would match my gear shift knob, and it would give it a little more beefiness to grab onto there. So the whole premise behind today's little project was to see how well this wheel would clean up, to see if I think I can clean it up well enough and polish it well enough to do that. Now I don't know if I can do that yet, but looking at the results here so far, I think with some mechanical, with a buffing wheel and some mechanical advantage, I think I can basically polish this up to a mere finish. It's getting there by hand, not bad at all. I'm happy with where it's at. That is my plan and my thought. Now the next step in this process, now that I think that the wheel is going to be nice enough looks wise to pull that off to where you can have this shiny aluminum embedded into the resin outer coating, and you can basically see the shiny aluminum inside the resin. So I think that part will work in theory. Now it's putting that into practice and doing that. Now, I have literally no experience in casting resins. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on it. I think it's possible. I know there are guys out there that can probably do it. So I have to educate myself on that process and figure out if I can do that. Fortunately, I've looked online. There is a place here in Charlotte that seems to do that kind of work. And they have classes and things to help people do special projects like this. And looking at their, the projects on their website and things that people have done there and that they have done, like kind of special props and things, it definitely seems like something that will be in their wheelhouse. That's where this project is going. I am basically done for it for today. I'm happy with my results so far. Do I have this thing polished up to a mere finish? No, I don't. Do I think it can get there? Yes, I do. I got all the paint off of it, got most of the dirt out of it. Yeah, a little more work to get it perfect. I definitely think it has potential to do the project I think I can do with this and make a really super cool steering wheel that matches my shift knob. And if I do that, if I'm able to do the casting on the outside, I'm also going to cast a center button too to match. So basically something to that effect. So I think that'll look pretty cool and make a really cool steering wheel for my rod. I think I'll be okay with the size of it. I held it up inside the cab and it looks right. It looks about the right size. It doesn't look too small. It doesn't look tiny in there compared to, the big steering wheel might be too wide, might be hard to have room for my hand between the door and everything. So I think this is going to be the way I go. The taper on it already is very, very similar to the Model A taper on the steering column. It'll take minimal work to adapt it. I think that's where we're at. I think I've got this to the point now where I'm happy saying I'm pretty sure this is going to be the steering wheel for my 1927 Model T Touring Hot Rod. Later, YouTube.